When we talk about Edinburgh Castle, we're not just talking about a building. We're talking about a main character in the incredible story of Scotland. It's a fortress that has seen literally everything, sitting on a chunk of rock that shaped an entire city.
And if you really want to understand its story, you have to start with this number, 26. That's how many times this one castle has been besieged.
I mean, think about that. That makes it the most besieged place in all of Great Britain and one of the most attacked fortresses in the world. So that begs the question, why? Why this one spot? What made it the center of so much conflict for more than 1,000 years? Well, to figure that out, we have to look down, way, way down. See, the story doesn't start with kings or cannons or brave soldiers. Nope. It begins hundreds of millions of years ago with the rock itself.
Yep, you heard that right. The ground beneath Edinburgh Castle is actually the super-hardened basalt plug of an extinct volcano. An eruption 350 million years ago left this incredibly tough rock behind, and that changed everything.
And this ancient volcano created a really unique geological feature. See, during the Ice Age, massive glaciers scraped across Scotland, but this super hard volcanic rock, the crag, it just wouldn't budge. It stood firm and ended up protecting a long sloping ridge of softer land right behind it, which we call the tail. And this diagram shows you exactly what that looks like. The castle sits right on top of the crag, the ultimate high ground. And the city's famous Royal Mile just perfectly stretches all the way down that sheltered tail. So the volcano didn't just give them a spot for a castle, it literally carved out the whole shape of Edinburgh's old town. But here's the crazy part, the real paradox. The rock was the castle's biggest strength, no question. I mean, you've got cliffs shooting up 80 meters. Trying to attack that head-on would be almost impossible. But that same super hard, non-porous basalt rock meant there was no reliable source of water. So during a siege, you could hold off an entire army from the walls, but you could still die of thirst inside, a fatal flaw in what was otherwise a perfect fortress. So, with this incredible natural fortress just sitting there, it was only a matter of time before people made it the center of power. Let's dig into how this rock became the home of the Scottish crown. Okay, so by the 11th century, it's an official royal castle, and over the next few hundred years, it becomes the absolute heart of the kingdom. This wasn't just where kings and queens lived, it was the national vault, it was the state archive, it's where they kept the crown jewels of Scotland. Its importance just couldn't be overstated, and that status was, well, set in stone long after monarchs stopped living there. And what's so amazing is that you can still reach out and touch this ancient past. This chapel, built way back in the early 12th century by King David I for his mother, St. Margaret, it's the oldest surviving building in all of Edinburgh. A quiet, almost 1,000-year-old link to the castle's royal soul. But, as you know, power attracts conflict, and the castle's story is written in blood and gunpowder, just as much as it is in stone and stained glass. And this is where we get back to those 26 sieges.
All right, picture this. It's the early 14th century, during the Wars of Scottish Independence. The castle is in English hands, and it seems absolutely unbeatable. But Robert the Bruce's nephew, a guy named Thomas Randolph, he had a plan, and it was as brilliant as it was insane.
Seriously, think about this. Just 30 guys scaling a sheer cliff face in the pitch black of night, led by someone who knew a secret path. They completely caught the English garrison off guard and took the castle back for Scotland. And here's the kicker. Right after this incredible victory, Robert the Bruce ordered the castle's defenses to be torn down. Why? So no enemy could ever use its power against his people again. But, of course, castles get rebuilt. And more than 200 years later, after being made bigger and stronger, it would face a test that made everything before it look like a skirmish. The Lang Siege, which just means the long siege. Just look at this contrast. On the left, you've got the medieval castle, this absolute beast with its huge David's Tower. On the right, that's what it was up against. This wasn't about 30 guys climbing a cliff anymore. This was about pure, overwhelming firepower from every direction. The age of the cannon had arrived, and this siege was about to prove that no wall, no matter how thick, was truly invincible. 3,000. Let that number sink in. That's how many cannonballs smashed into the castle walls in just 12 days. It's an almost unimaginable amount of firepower for the time. And the result was just catastrophic. The ancient towers just crumbled. The rubble piled up so high it blocked the main gate, and even worse, the well. With their walls shattered and their water source buried, the garrison had no choice. They surrendered. The great medieval fortress was basically wiped off the map.
But it's out of that absolute destruction that the modern castle, the one we all recognize today, really starts to take shape. Its entire role was about to change for good. I mean, just look at the difference. The whole purpose of the castle completely flipped. What was once the ultimate military machine, a fortress, a prison, a weapons depot, is now almost purely a cultural icon, a home for museums, memorials, and the nation's greatest treasures.
And its power today isn't measured in soldiers, but in visitors. And the numbers are staggering. Over 2.2 million people in 2019 alone. So yeah, we're not just talking about some old historic site. This is a global destination. It is the most visited paid tourist attraction in all of Scotland, representing the country's entire heritage for millions of people. So when you see this image, you're not just seeing a castle, right? You're seeing the breathtaking backdrop for the world-famous military tattoo, a silent guardian of centuries of history, and let's be honest, an unmistakable symbol of Scotland itself, recognized all over the globe. And that really brings this whole story full circle. It's an incredible reminder that the iconic castle we all know and love today, this symbol of permanence and strength, was literally born from the fire of its most destructive siege. The face we see today is a direct result of its violent past. It's just amazing when you think about it. From a volcanic plug to a royal palace, from the most attacked place in Britain to a beloved global icon, this rock has been the stage for the entire story of a nation. Which really just leaves one final question to think about.